All right, so final question is from David. It says, "Hey Damo, big fan of your channel. Learned a great deal in the time I've been following the page."
Thanks,
That's
dude.
nice.
That's lovely.
Sorry if you've previously covered this one, but wondering if you have any advice on musicians and artists, either as band or session players setting up as self-employed. I know that technically any musician should be set up self-employed when it comes to payments from gigs, etc. But what level should this be considered, and how do people go about it?
Okay, so this is a very good question because it's not something we talk about. We talk about bands, we talk about promotion, we talk about distribution, but what about technicalities?
Yeah.
What about you've just left college or you're in college and you've got the dreaded self-employed tax issues and the dreaded self. How do you set up so that you're making money and you're not going to get diddled by the tax man and you know that what you're doing is the right thing?
Yeah.
And it is simpler than you think.
Yeah.
Because everyone has that.
Should do a video on this as well.
Yeah, because everyone has the fear. Everyone has that like, oh, self-employed tax. Yeah. And I'm not going to go into the details of tax, but I am going to go into some very, very simple logistics. And this is for the UK viewers. And I know there's going to be people outside of the UK and other parts of the world. And unfortunately, I can't help because it'll be a similar thing, but I can't help with the logistics because I don't live there and I don't know. But the first thing and the most important thing is you have to tell HMRC that you are going self-employed. That's the thing. And you just go on to, I think it's gov.org or the government site, and just put in that I want to tell HMRC that I'm going self-employed, and a form will pop up. You fill in a form, you send it in, and all it is effectively is it's saying that you are going to sort your own tax yourself through self-assessment. That's the key. And self-assessment is basically just saying, I will do my own tax.
Yeah.
So all it is, really, really simple, is the government just wants to know, in a nutshell, that you're sorting your tax. Because the government says, everyone pays tax.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. So where's your tax coming from? As long as you have a tick which just goes, don't worry, I'll sort it myself. That's the big thing. Once you've done that, because the other part of it is national insurance as well, and national insurance is contributions towards your pension. If you don't pay national insurance, when you get old, you won't get pension, and then you'll die horribly. Or something. I don't know if that's the case. So yeah, I hope. So you have to pay your national insurance and your tax. That's the big step. That's the big complicated thing that everyone's terrified of. Now, when it comes to doing the tax, all you have to do is find a way of logging money in and logging money out.
Yeah.
That's as simple as that. As long as you can say, this is how much money I've made and this is how much money I've spent on things which are relevant to my career. So, for example, if we go for a meeting after this, and I'll just say, I'll grab some teas, do you want some teas? And I keep the receipt for that. The reason why I can then put that against tax, which basically means I'm spending this money which is helping my career. It's part of my career, is because it's important and I need to look after you, so I'm getting you a cup of tea, and I can write that off against tax, which means if the 2 teas cost £5, then you can say, when it comes to your tax, once you've used your allocated allowance, which is, I think in this country is 11.5 grand, I think. Once you've used that, the money that you have to pay tax on will decrease, because if you have to buy a haircut for 30 quid, you pay a little bit less tax because you're writing that bit off against tax. Now, the reason why this is important, and that's in a nutshell, but the reason why this is important is because as a musician or as a self-employed person, there's so many things that you need to do which are actually eligible for tax. The way you look, your haircut, rehearsals, gear, a part of the education. If you're getting guitar lessons, there's so many things that you can write off against tax. Petrol, where you live, your phone, your computer. If you buy a new computer because your computer's died, it's like, well, yeah, you need that. You have to have that. So the government says that's okay. In that case, you can write that off against tax. So this is part 1, technicalities. I'll get to the next bit, which is my thoughts on advice. But the first bit is very, very simple. Number 1, you just have to tell the government that you are going to be doing your own tax, that you are self-employed. Number 2, you just have to find a way of actually logging money in, logging money out. Whether you get a separate bank account, and so money comes in and money goes out. So what a lot of musicians do is they have a separate bank account which money comes into, then they'll have a credit card, and the credit card is for outgoings, so they can actually see per month all of the things that they've spent on their living expenses as a musician, which count. And it's very simple to log in and out. Excuse me. Now, if you remember the olden days, which most of you probably won't, but people say, you've got to keep your receipts. Keep your receipt, keep your receipt, keep your receipts. Now, there's loads of musicians watching that go, yeah, keep your receipts, keep your receipts. We don't keep our receipts. We do keep our receipts. We put the receipts in our wallet, and then after 3 months, we've just got a stack of papers that when we pull them out, all the ink's gone, and we go, oh, I forgot.
Yeah.
Or we put them in a box, and the box gets loads and loads of receipts, but then we lose the box, and then we've lost the receipts, and we go, I did have some receipts, but I can't find the receipts that I had. Worry not, because technology has come to our aid. What I use is an app which is called Receipt Bank.
What about the app?
It's really, really good. I'm not getting paid for this. This is not a sponsored advert. I use Receipt Bank.
We love this app.
It's brilliant. It's very simple. I get on my phone every time I get a meal or anything that can actually be tax deductible.
Yeah.
I put the receipt on the table. I take a picture of it. I submit it. It's literally that easy. It's just a habit form. Someone says, "Do you want a receipt?" Yes, please. Receipt for petrol. Thank you very much. Jump, bonk, done. And it just receipts it, and that goes through to, in my case, it goes through to our accountants. But you might have to sort that yourself. But it's a good way to look into if you can get receipt back. It's very, very good. Now then, advice: setting yourself up in self-employed. Those are the technicalities. But here are my bits of advice for setting yourself up as self-employed. First thing, if you are going self-employed, this does not give you the opportunity to arse around, stay in bed until 12 o'clock and just go, yeah, man, I'm self-employed, I work for myself. No. When you are self-employed, you are effectively running your own business. If you run your own business, then yes, I get more freedom in certain aspects than anybody else, because I get to run my own business. If I want to go and work from America, I can work from America. However, I also get less freedom than everyone else because I am in charge of everything at all times. So therefore, the buck stops with me. Other people can make mistakes, but I'm the one, the responsibility will ultimately always fall with. If you're going self-employed, you are jumping onto that bandwagon. My best bit of advice is set yourself up like you are going into your own business, which means you still start work at 9 o'clock or 8:30 and you clock off at 5 o'clock. And just because you work for yourself doesn't give you any, for me, it doesn't give you any right to just arse around and not do it. This is about building something awesome. So my advice is, for me personally, is treat it like a proper business. Go into this and thinking, I'm going to put the work in, because this now gives me time. That's the one thing self-employed gives you, because how much time is wasted in every office where people are chatting or making tea or, it's not useful time. Yes, you're there for 8 or 9 hours a day, but are you actually doing it? Or doing stuff at all hours of the day? No, really. Not very protective. So set yourself up. You have time and then you can actually work on your career. So that is a big one. Secondly, I would look for quick wins, because this is now about your livelihood, making money. So firstly, quick wins with money. So figuring out how you can get paid small amounts. And you're always going to get paid as much as you can get paid, but you need confidence that you can do this, because what you don't want to do is get 6 months down the line and it goes horribly wrong, and then you never want to do it again. So for me, quick wins. So if I was going self-employed, I'd start looking for people that would pay me 20, 30 quid just to do little things, so that I know that I can actually make money from doing this. So quick wins is quite important. The other bit of advice is don't fiddle the tax man, because there's no need. Because as musicians, you're not going to make £50 million a year, probably. So just keep it really simple, and that's what self-employed is all about. Keeping it as simple as you can. You make this much money, you spend this much money, you have to pay a certain amount of tax. It's very hard to say to musicians because they don't do this, even though they're full of good intentions, but put money away every month. Because if you're making a certain amount of money, there's nothing worse than getting to your tax bill and they say, cool, your tax bill's £3,000, and you say, I don't have that. So and the tax man doesn't mess around. So when I sold BIM, I don't know if I should say this on camera, but when I sold BIM, I was hit with a tax bill of 120 grand, and they wouldn't. There was no like putting it off. It was like, we want it now, and I was like, I don't know. I don't have it. I had to remortgage my house. I was going to get it from selling a business, but I was just like, well, what?
Yeah, it shows how serious it can be.
So you can't mess the tax man around. He don't have a sense of humour. So that's the thing. So I would say, I would say set yourself targets, set yourself goals of what you want to achieve, but treat it like a business. That's my best advice. But from a technicality point of view, just tell the government what you're doing. They'll say, yep, no problem at all. And then you just pay your tax once a year. And your only job then is just to figure out the simplest way for money coming in, money going out. It literally can be as simple as that.
Yeah.
And musicians want it to be more complicated. It isn't. It's really simple.
That's kind of quite comforting, really.
Yeah, honestly, it's not that bad.
You just don't really get taught anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason is because there's some kind of weird black magic.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, it's really scary. It's like, no, it's not. It's not at all. It's just very simply, the government just wants to know how much you owe because everyone has to pay tax. And you get the first £11,500 where you don't have to pay tax on it. So you can earn £11,500 in the UK, I think, without having to pay any tax. And then after that, I think it's like 20% or 22% or something that you're paying on money. After that, up to a certain amount of money, 42 grand or something like that. So if you make £20,000 as a musician, you're only paying tax on 9.
Yeah.
Not 8.5, because the first 11.5 you get tax free, and then out of that 9, 8.5, if you've spent £5,000 on stuff which is important because you needed a new phone or you needed a computer or you needed to get your hair cut, then out of that 5, that gets taken off. So you're only paying tax then on the 3.5 to 4.
Yeah.
And if you're paying tax on 3.5 to 4, it's 20%. You're paying 500 quid or something. So it's not crazy amounts of money if you do this properly.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Don't be scared.
All our questions.
Yeah, good. That was really good. I really enjoyed that one today.
Yeah, it was good questions.
Good. Right, busy day today. Lots to do. So your job is like and subscribe, obviously. If you've got any friends that you can tag into any of these questions or the show, that would be amazing. But more importantly, this is an opportunity for you to get featured. I will hold stuff up. I will talk about your band. I will wear your t-shirt. I will promote your band. But you have to actually send me the stuff because I can't do it otherwise. So the address is in the description below. If you want to send some stuff in, send it in, get it featured on the show. If you've got music, we can even feature it on certain vlogs, but get it to us so we can actually help you.
Over.
Good.
Nice.
Happy?
Good. Yeah.
Good. See you guys next week.
Bye.